Okay, hey everybody, J-Man with Sean here today. We're doing another key issue, and again, if you didn't see the last video, key issue doesn't necessarily mean the first appearance of so-and-so or the first time that this person did this or the first costume or whatever. It's just something that, it could be that, obviously, it could be something like that, but it could also be something that's something personal to us or something that someone has reached out to and said, we like this issue. Someone in the comments may have said, I like this one, can you talk about it? So we're doing Detective Comics number 530, which is this one right here. I don't own this issue, so I have to get it on. Oh my God, Sean owns this issue. Well,
Now,
Sean,
this isn't.
he owns it for a reason, which we're
Yeah,
gonna tell you right in a second.
yeah, yeah.
So I got the digital version. So this is a Sean pick, and I think I know what I want to do for the next one because it's a personal one of mine. But Sean, why did you pick this random Detective Comics
It's super random.
530 approved by the Comics
Yes,
Code?
it's approved.
It,
And it has a Superman 3 sweepstakes.
oh my God, I love Superman 3. Watch my
Yeah,
video on Superman 3, why it's one of the best movies ever.
you
I
win
love
the
that.
you win the technically advanced Atari 5400 with a Superman game or something like that. That's your
Oh
big.
my God, I want that.
It's funny because the fourth prize is Superman peanut butter. It's like you just buy that in a
Mm.
grocery store.
You know what? Peanut butter always tasted better when the shield, like the S,
Yeah. Did
was
you
on
have
it.
Superman peanut butter? Because they advertised the heck out of that in the 80s, but it's basically Skippy,
It's
but with
Skippy or,
Superman.
or
Yeah,
whatever. Well, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, so why against the fall of Nocturna?
Well, this was my first Batman comic. So this came out in 1983. I was either 6 or 5 going on 6. And I had this for years. Now, this version, this copy I have right here, I rebought it because I do have it like my original childhood one somewhere. And it's intact, but it's all gorped up. I read the crap out of it as a kid. I can't find it. I've dug through my comics. I don't know. After like 3 or 4 moves, I don't know where that thing is now. But I rebought it just for the childhood memory of it. Um, and basically, when you're 6, you don't really read comics. I mean, like I read bits of it, but I didn't read the whole thing. Mostly, what I was drawn to was the art. And like this cover is my favorite Batman cover of all time. Maybe because of rose-colored glasses, but but yeah, it's funny because I had Superman comics and I don't remember them as much as I remember the Batman one when I was like 6. And it's my only Batman one for a long time. But I read it over and over. And yes, Nocturna is in it. Nocturna is not like a main super duper like known villain, of course. And she's been redone now. I mean, they got rid of her name as well. Like it's not the original alter ego name. It's now like a new name, and she's a vampire. And I think you watch Batwoman, right? She's in Batwoman.
Oh, well, must have been very poorly portrayed because I don't remember her at
I
all.
think she's in one of these. I think she's in Batwoman because and she's the vampire version, and no one cares who Nocturna is. But a lot of the art, like I was drawn to, like her earrings with the stars, the star
Yeah,
earrings. I like there's one scene where Batman has to testify against her brother-in-law, or not brother-in-law, her stepbrother, and they show the jury, and the jury's all like, oh, like they're all stunned. I remember that. I remember when a Nocturna comes out of the woods to talk to Jason Todd, and like
yeah.
she looks like a ghost. She looks all ghostly and stuff. That I stared at that imagery, like how it was drawn and everything, when I was a little kid,
That was
and
the
the
best
whole like
part.
yeah, and her balloon, like that balloon is amazing. Like it's got the design like the star and moon, and yeah, that was awesome. Yeah. Comixology did a pretty good job of recoloring this. They didn't redo the art to make it look like a different style. Like I noticed that with the Ra's al Ghul stuff, like the Denny O'Neil stuff. It looks great on Comixology, but looks different. It doesn't look like the same 70s style art. Here it looks more like the comic, I find. It's pretty good.
It's
Yeah.
hard to tell with my camera, but like you can still see the dots
Oh
of
yeah,
yeah. I
I
don't
noticed
know
that.
why. Yeah,
Yeah,
just side note, I don't know why Comixology, sometimes they tell you when you're buying it, like remastered or something. Like
yeah,
it'll say
yeah,
that, and then, but yeah, this one is exactly like what I would have thought it looked like back then. And when you held up your
yeah,
thing, it was like, yeah, that's perfect. So I don't
yeah,
know why some of them are like that. I think there's just some, Superman seems unaltered as well for most of the old
yeah,
ones because I was going back and reading them, but it depends how they do it. If they bring out a new collection, it's
yeah.
weird. If they bring out a collection, it'll be the
Mhm.
remastered digital collection that DC published because
Yeah.
DC will redo it. They did something with
Mhm.
Swamp Thing. It was very wonky. I'm so happy I have my Alan Moore Swamp Things because they re-brought
Yeah.
out like an omnibus and it looks weird. It doesn't look
Mhm.
bad, but it's not what I know. And
Yeah.
that's weird. But anyways, yeah, continuing on.
Yeah. Well, having the original art is always the best
For
because like
sure.
I find like almost everything is remastered and redone. And the best thing, if you like the old comic art, the best thing is to try and get treasuries because it's the big art blown up and it looks
Yeah.
really amazing. It looks really good. But yeah, I just like this art style. This is in a collection on Comixology.
Yes.
Um, yeah, it's Gene Colan.
Yes. Yeah.
So Doug Mensch, I guess that's how you pronounce that guy's name. He wrote this. He's not exactly in the grand pantheon, I guess, of Batman writers. I don't think you never really remember his name. And there's
No.
a whole Nocturna story arc that goes on for like years, up till Crisis, because this is like '83, right? Like Nocturna falls in love with Batman. Batman falls in love with Nocturna. Nocturna just wants to use Bruce Wayne for like for the opulent lifestyle and everything. Um, Bruce Wayne is trying to, and there's a little bit of this in here. Bruce Wayne's trying to fight for custody of Jason Todd.
Yeah.
Nocturna gets custody of Jason Todd in an attempt to get Bruce to marry her. Then Bruce wrests control of Jason Todd back to him. It's a whole thing. And meanwhile, she's committing crimes with different gangs and everything, and it's a whole thing. She doesn't really have any powers. When you look her up on Wikipedia and some DC fan sites, they say that she has teleportation. Here, that's not really portrayed. She just appears places. And I just thought that was just shoddy writing. That she would just like turn up here and turn up there and turn up where Jason
Yeah.
Todd is.
Like she throws her. I don't get. Yeah. I don't. I didn't get her powers from this, or if she had any. Like she's throwing her
She doesn't
little.
really. Yeah, she just yeah she was involved in an accident with a telescope or something, and it's very comic science. But she then basically turns into an albino. They don't come out and say that, but it's like her pigmentation is gone and she's sensitive to sunlight. And so yeah, and then she has all these weapons and stuff that she can use, like her earrings that she could throw as ninja
Yeah.
stars and everything. Um, she's not the
I'd marry
greatest
her.
villain. Yeah, I think she's great because well,
She's
I grew
cool.
up with this character and this amazing cover art too. And I like the look of her. She's wicked. To
She's
me, like
wicked.
if I made a Batman something, Nocturna would totally be in it. But and I like underused villains. I like the potential of underused villains. We know
Yeah.
all the Batman villains. Like let's bring in a new person, right? And a female. There aren't a lot of those in Batman's rogues. So yeah, I do love the art style of this is great. When I was a little kid, I didn't really know about the Adam West show. I don't remember what age I discovered it, but I remember the memory of discovering it because I remember seeing it on TV. And I grew up with Super Friends and everything. So Batman, when you don't know what it is, and you see like Adam West Batman, it looked like a cartoon come to life, and I couldn't put into words that it's live action. I was like, wow, it's like the cartoons are alive, like it's the live one, right? And my dad phoned from work to check up on me, and I was like, there's this thing. It's like it's people as Batman, and like I think it was like Penguin or someone. And he's like, yeah, like he was nonplussed, like he didn't care because he's like he knows what Batman like the '60s series
Right.
is, right? and I was like, but I was destroyed. And I watched it, and of course towards the end they had the onomatopoeias where they're punching, and it's like pow biff, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, you know, they're doing this right. So that kind of thing is what I then gravitated toward, and the cartoon. So this being more of a sort of gothic style, I didn't quite know what that meant. Yeah, wham or whatever. Yeah. um, uh, this style of Batman here looked kind of cool to me because it was a little different than what you saw. It's still the guy from the show, the blue and gray and the yellow and black symbol. But it's more sort of like, I was also watching Hammer horror, so it's sort, to me it's sort of like Batman in a Hammer horror type of movie.
Right.
It was a kind of new, cool way of. It wasn't new, of course, but to me as a kid, reading this comic, there's a new cool way of seeing Batman. And then of course this carried on forward till today, that kind of thing. So
You
yeah,
know, like to me, this is Batman,
that's Batman. Yeah.
right? Like when
Yeah.
someone's like, "What is Batman?" I still think of this.
Yeah.
If I go so far as to say The Brave and the Bold is like maybe my favorite or one of my favorite Batman, or at minimum second favorite.
Well, yeah, no, that was
Like,
great. Yeah.
I love it. I bought the toys even. I just
Mhm.
love that animated series so much. Him
Yeah.
teaming up with other people. Brave and
Yeah.
the Bold, the comic is fantastic also.
Mhm.
Anytime there's like a guy, and you know this, Sean, it's like Thing, Human Torch,
Yeah.
Spider-Man, Batman. Anytime it's a guy and then he teams up with someone new every time,
Yeah.
to me, this is like you're printing money. Like I
Mhm.
have to get those. And then every
Yeah.
time I start talking about my favorite comics, it ends up being one of those. But this here, not this is awesome. Yeah, him testifying in court is
Yeah.
wicked because it's like
Yeah.
that's like obviously never gonna happen. Except actually in Daredevil, in the not the current one, not the current Zdarsky Daredevil, but the previous one, I think it was Charles Soule. He had an arc where Daredevil was getting a thing together where heroes could testify in costume as long as they were able
Yeah.
to like prove who they were. But
Who they
in
were.
any case, I like this. This is like almost, this could almost be considered perfect Batman, where there's enough of the, it's still blue and gray. It's
Mhm.
not too silly where it's
Yeah.
like becomes dumb, but it's
Yeah.
not so dark where it becomes, I'm reading like a Criminal Minds episode or whatever. This is
Yeah.
almost like the perfect, what I would be like, this is what I want Batman to be. You know, he fights a cool villain. There's a little bit of poetry to it. There's some like meaning to it too, and a little bit of
Yeah.
drama. And Jason Todd, you know, trying to figure out what he wants to do with his life and all that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And of course, he's wearing a red shirt and green pants because he has to wear his colors.
Yeah.
That's the old Power Rangers. You know, I wonder who the Power Rangers are. The five people that wear the exact colors of the.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
plus Nocturna has a blimp. I mean, not a blimp. A
Yeah.
balloon.
That cool hot air balloon. Yeah.
Yeah, which is
And
like,
she throws grenades from it, which is, I
yeah,
guess
that's cool.
that
Do
could
you
be a
want,
playset. Yeah.
so okay, since we're on the, okay, so like you like the Batman parts. Now, when I was a kid, I had a lot of Batman comics, a lot of Superman, Batman, Superman, Hulk, Spider-Man. Let's say that's the four,
Yeah.
right? Wonder Woman a little bit because of the TV series, but not so much comics until later. But
Yeah.
early childhood, Hulk, Spider-Man, Batman, Superman, that's your top four characters. Well,
Yeah.
they're still in my top 10 favorite characters. So, so they haven't gone anywhere. But
And they're TV and movie stars at the time too. So
exactly. And the cartoons,
yeah.
obviously, the cartoons are great. The Incredible
Yeah.
Hulk cartoon, Spider-Man is Amazing Friends, plus the Spider-Man cartoon before that. Super Friends obviously is awesome. Even when it was just Batman, Superman, or when it was just Superman on his own, like all of those
Yeah.
are great. Those four heroes are still in my top 10, and they're my most favorite comic book characters as a child still now. Okay.
Yeah.
So reading this, it's like, yeah, this is perfect. And I never read exactly what you're saying. Like I never read, like I didn't go like, oh, what happened on this panel? I
Yeah.
got a Batman comic because it looked cool. Batman
Yeah.
and Spider-Man are my two favorite looking superheroes. They still are right now.
Yeah.
Batman and Spider-Man, it's a toss-up, but like they're both amazing. I don't care what anyone says. Comics, you're a kid, you're looking at the pictures.
Mhm.
It's just how it goes. right?
Yeah.
So eventually you start to read them, but you know, you're
Yeah.
looking at the pictures, you're like, wow, I would look at this and be like, wow, Batman's in this a lot. There's only
Yeah.
one page of Bruce Wayne, and then he's still kind of in the
Yeah.
costume, and he puts the mask on and
Yeah.
goes on.
I
So to
like
me,
that
this,
too. It looks great. Yeah.
yeah, this would be like
Like
10 out of 10.
the Bruce Wayne head and the Batman body is great, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So to me, this is 10 out of 10. It's Batman always in costume doing stuff. So
Yeah.
that's why I like Brave and the Bold. But anyway, so but then you get this extra thing now. Now, Action and DC, which are primarily Superman, Batman, they would give
backup
you
stories.
they'd
Yeah.
give you different stories. And then even I think even Detective Comics may have switched to Batwoman mostly for a while, but
Yeah.
I'm not sure exactly. The current Detective Comics is the best comic book there is to read right now. Easy.
Yeah.
It's not even a thought. I don't review it because everyone on internet thinks Batman's the greatest superhero of all time. I think it's Superman then Batman.
Yeah.
But I'm not. My channel doesn't do Batman stuff because Batman is all over the place. You don't need me to tell you Batman's great. Everyone else is already telling you that. But this gave you Green Arrow, a Green Arrow story, which I really liked, actually.
It's awesome.
It's kind of a different tone than the Batman one.
You know what? Those backup stories, like the Green Arrow one here, I read that to crap too, and it's a lot more action oriented than the Batman one.
Yeah.
What I like about those backup stories is that because I remember Action Comics around this time too, because I had a lot of those. They had a lot of Atom backup stories.
Yep. Yes.
And those were because they had to tell quick paced stories because they didn't have a lot of pages. They jammed a lot of action into things, and they shoved the characters immediately into the situation.
Yes.
And that's what happens here with these terrorists that claim that they're from the American government, come and shoot up a Russian consulate, and they're trying to create World War III, and at the time it's the 80s, so everyone has nuclear annihilation on their head. And so that's what, and then at the end, like these nuclear missiles are about to launch. It's like, what's going to happen, right? So now you can go in Comixology and see what happened. When my issue with that, these things continued on in Detective Comics. The Batman stories were told in Batman and Detective Comics.
Yeah.
So like you had to read Batman, and then the story would continue into Detective, and the story would continue into Batman, then Detective.
Yep.
So like you couldn't collect Detective Comics because you wouldn't know what the heck's going on. You have to read Batman for the rest of the story. Those backups would be in Detective, so that would be an extra incentive for you to pick up Detective next time. That might have been why they did it, because in order to read the rest of this story, you have to go into Batman, and then you're not reading Detective anymore. You want to come back to Detective to read the rest of the backup story, the Green Arrow one. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I know I never liked that idea.
Yeah.
And I know, and I think even as a kid, I very quickly picked up on the fact that that's a money grab.
Yeah.
Today, right now, I have not missed an issue. It's hard to pick between Superman and Batman because there's so many. Like Superman in the post-crisis, it was like Man of Steel, Superman, Adventures of Superman, and Action Comics. And it's like,
Right.
I was actually collecting all four.
And then they launched Men of Tomorrow later on. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. That's now. Yeah. But like, yeah. It's
like back then, there was a Man of Tomorrow comic as well.
Oh, and that was that part of the.
I think that was the Man of Tomorrow. It's not the same thing as this one.
Okay.
The first issue had like the stern-faced Superman flying towards you.
Okay.
Remember that?
Oh,
that's the 90s.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
so you added another one. Yeah.
You're right. Shit, you're right. I remember that. Yes. Okay. So my God, and they used to have that little triangle numbering because all these it was so bad that all these comics were on different numbering. Like Action Comics has been on forever, so they're on 1,000 something, right? And at that time it was like Action Comics 552, then Superman number 35, and then Man of Steel number 10 because that was new.
Yeah.
And then Adventures of Superman, which continued the old Superman numbering.
Yeah.
You know, and you're just like, I don't know what to do. And I was literally collecting these.
Like, is triangle numbering after Crisis? Because this doesn't have that. And that would have helped, right? It's like just says like it's like the price, then the number 530, and then approved by Comics Code. Yeah, it doesn't
It doesn't
say.
even tell you. Does it even
Yeah.
tell you what to buy next?
Well, no,
Because
it doesn't say at the end of this, like, go read Batman for the rest of the. No, it doesn't.
it doesn't
It
say
just,
that.
I remember, yeah. And mine says the same thing.
Yeah. So nothing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Chimera. Yeah. So that was, and it was very difficult to do this, but like right now I've had to literally pick my side. I
Yeah.
can't not read a Batman. So I've been collecting detective comics, and that's all I've been getting is detective. I stopped Batman, and right now they don't really interlink. They sometimes do, like currently there's like this Joker war going on. So
Yeah.
so there's like but I just can't do it. I can't do it.
Yeah.
I don't have the money. I'm an adult. I'm a grown man. This is another reason why comics have started to decline. Like they're really like kids' allowances these days are going towards
Yeah.
video games and stuff, right? And it's
Yeah.
like, I mean, when I was a kid, I had an allowance. I don't know what it was to make up a number. Let's say it was $10.
Yeah.
So if I had $5 a week or $10 a week, or I don't know what it was, let's say, okay, if it was $5 a week, that's 5 comics,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
there you go. Okay, that's fine. But I can't be getting 5 Superman comics because then I can't get anything else.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is just too much. You're fighting for my money. It's like, give me my Batman. I don't mind Detective Comics and Batman, and they don't interlink. If they don't interlink, I'm okay, which is what
Yeah.
I'm doing now. Just Detective. Superman, I'm reading everything. I'm reading
Yeah.
Superman, Action Comics, Man of Tomorrow. I was even trying to do Supergirl, Superwoman, New
Yeah.
Superman. I was trying to read. Superman's going to be my main thing. I'm trying to read as much, but I can't. I just got it to 3 now.
Yeah.
They canceled some of those other ones, anyways. Those 3 and Detective Comics, I've never missed any of them. So Man of Tomorrow, Action, Superman, Detective, never missed an issue of those since New 52 for sure. I don't know how far back before that, but yeah, this still, like, as a kid, I would have read this, and then I wouldn't have known what to read next. And at least
Yeah.
with Green Arrow, you would assume the next one is in Detective Comics 531, which you would be correct.
Yeah.
But if you picked that up, you wouldn't have gotten the next one of Nocturna.
Well, yeah.
That's what
Of the Batman stuff. Yeah. Yeah. It's true.
So it's like, why are you confusing these kids? Even adults be confused because there's no internet. Steve and I, when we're talking about our Hulk stuff, like Steve literally is like, oh, I went to, I don't know what it is, readingorder.com or something.
Yeah.
And you type in Hulk, and then it tells you what you're supposed to read. Well, we didn't have that.
We didn't have that. Yeah.
I would miss
Yeah,
issues
no
like crazy. Spider-Man was the one where I couldn't miss Amazing Spider-Man. But Spider-Man, I was trying to get Spectacular, Web, and Amazing all the time. And
Yeah.
then literally when Todd
I did too.
when Todd McFarlane's like, we're just gonna do Spider-Man, I was like, I'm just gonna collect that. Because it's just easy. It's
no, I collected all of them. Yeah.
It's impossible. It's impossible. I was trying, and it would be like, oh my God, it's like Night of the Living Ned, where Ned Leeds is coming out of the cemetery. I was like, oh my God. And then I got the next thing. I'm like, this isn't continuing. What the hell? So, that continued in Web of or whatever. I'm like, oh my God. Like I was going crazy as a kid. I couldn't get all the Spider-Mans. And
yeah, I just want to say too, like, this sort of surprises me looking back on this because it's not telling you where to go. Marvel did. Marvel had boxes that told you what to read next in terms of this story or the next story or something like that. But DC, maybe after Crisis, they pared things down a lot. But maybe after Crisis, they started doing that. But I remember Marvel was good at telling you where to go. It's up to you to figure out whether or not you want to pay $50 for like a gazillion comics, right? I did try collecting all the Spider-Mans because I just liked the stories, so I would read them. The thing with those was that they never went above the weeks of the month, so there were 4 total. Because that way you can buy a Spider-Man comic each week, and they wouldn't release them. They wouldn't release 2 in a week, right? So like Amazing would come out, Spectacular would come out. That was the key. Superman at one point had like 5 titles.
Yes.
So it's like so you're buying at least, if they're doing the week by week thing, you're buying at least 2 in one of the weeks. So yeah.
And then which one do you read first? Yeah, I will say Marvel in overall has been better in all of that kind of stuff, because that's one of the things that Marvel did well, which is they felt that you connected, like they talked to you. It's like,
Yeah.
hey, reader, check this out. Or it's like,
Yeah.
if you don't remember what, this happened in Daredevil #1, it's like, and Smiling
Like
Stan or something
the
or whatever, right?
family influence. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Like
that was
conversing with
genius.
the fan. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was very smart. But yeah, going back to this one, so you bought this, so you bought you got the real one somewhere, and you got your backup that you bought.
Yeah. So
Um,
I don't think I didn't buy this obviously because you're six, right? Yeah. Someone must have bought it for me.
mhm.
I think Batman was still big among adults. So like my dad or one of his friends must have got me this Batman. I remember the Mego Batmobile with Batman and Robin, like the 3¾ inch
I had it.
superheroes, action superheroes or whatever it's called. I got that from a convenience store. It was just like hanging up top, and one of my dad's friends picked it out and bought it for me. Because I think Batman was a thing. Also, I had there's another convenience store thing. There was a Batman role play set which had like it was the utility belt, which was like yellow,
Yep.
and you could put things in it, and it was like the walkie-talkie, batarang, other stuff. The walkie-talkie, I had that for years because everything else either broke or was lost or something like that. Batman was big. Like Batman was just a thing. Just people bought for kids. So someone bought me this comic. I don't know who. And because I didn't, like I don't know if you bought comics when you were like six, but like
Mm,
usually it was something bought for me as an item, as a gift item or something.
If I start telling you my comic book stories, you might faint and be horrified, because like I used to rip the covers off and put them on my
Yeah,
wall.
yeah,
So it's like I gave away all my Spider-Mans, all my Hulks, all my Batmans, all my Supermans. I gave those away to a friend of mine's kid because they were just beat up to hell.
yeah,
Like I'd fold it and put it in my pocket.
yeah, yeah.
And like it's just horror stories of these, like,
Even in the 90s when people were mindful of that kind of thing, I would buy comics at a convenience store, and I wrote there in my bike, and I'm like, well, I have no other way to bring this home, so I would put the comic in my hand and put my hand on the handlebar and go home, and of course some of them, the art has like handlebar like
right.
imprints on them now, where the art smudged off on my handlebar. It's fine. They're well worn, well loved comics. A lot of that stuff I wouldn't sell because I just like them anyways. Like there's many a Punisher comic that that I brought home that way, and the
Yeah,
Punisher magazines too.
yeah.
Like
Punishers,
yeah,
when I was getting serious, like I'm like, oh,
yeah,
I gotta get punished. But yeah, like these my top four, those guys. It's like I got the comic, and then you because the comic would be like in like a shelf, and you'd go
yeah,
like this to
hmm
see what's behind
yeah,
it, and you'd
yes,
bend it.
and it bended. Yeah,
Yeah, and you'd be like, oh, I want this one. Then you'd take that one, and it's like the spinner axe and all that stuff.
yeah. When that kind of thing was becoming big, I was really frustrated with people because like friends of mine would be like, "Oh, this isn't worth that much because you see there's a tick here and tick here." And if you look at the comic, it looks perfect. But
Yeah,
if you really did, like to me, like a really bad blemish is if there's like white or something from the crack, and it's like, and you can see it along the edge, you can see it into the cover. That's bad. But if it's just a little bent and like all the colors intact, like I don't really think that that's a bad, like it's like, oh, it's not quite mint, it's well, not quite pristine. Well, do you want to read these or no? Like I
yeah.
was always a comic reader. Like I was a comic collector, I guess. But I was a comic reader too. Even when something would say like first issue collector's item, I still wanted to read the thing, and then rip open the bag or whatever
No,
that had the card in it.
oh, me too.
Yeah,
I still have a lot of the cards. I kept all of the cards. But yeah,
yeah,
I'm a collector, but not in the same way that people are collectors now, where they use that term collector. I am in the sense that if a new comic comes in, obviously I got the iPad. You get a digital
yeah.
code, and I removed the digital code, which technically you could say is damaging because it's one of those ones where you peel it off, and
Oh
once you
yeah.
peel it off, you can't put it back.
Oh wow. Yeah.
So yeah, 90% of the comics I own, and anything you see on my channel where I hold up the comic, I've peeled it off and read it digitally.
Plus,
And
I just
yeah,
want to call out the ads and stuff.
oh
Like these are
please, yeah.
things I poured over as a kid. Burger Time.
Oh,
That,
that's awesome.
there's a. Do you remember these monogram monster kits with the eyes on
Yes. Oh
top?
my God, yes.
Yeah,
I,
that thing. And this thing I looked over like incessantly. The Dungeons and Dragons Atari cart.
oh
Like
my
that
God.
dragon looks weird because he has like an eye here and an eye here. It's weird.
Yeah, he
And this
does.
guy's about to fight him or whatever. But yeah, and all the stuff in between, like the Superman 3 sweepstakes, like I was talking about. Just looking at the prizes, like, oh my, like at the time I was like, oh my God, an Atari 5400, like, oh, I want that. And one of the other prizes was a soundtrack from Superman 3,
Oh,
stuff like that. It was really neat, and that's another part of the comic book experience at that time. Like you lose that in Comixology, but like just looking at the ads and like even those ads that say like mail in for like all this fake crap, like the X-ray eyes and all that stuff.
yeah.
That's part of the fun back then too. It wasn't just like the stories of the superheroes. It was also pouring over these colorful ads, especially around September when they advertised the cartoons coming out that year. Like that was really big too.
I
So yeah,
remember all those. And yeah, you know what? I do miss that, and you're not. That's never going to come back now, unfortunately.
yeah,
Good thing that we've got spending money that we can go to these shows and buy some of these issues. And a lot of
yeah.
the things I want, it's funny. A lot of the things I want are not worth anything. Like I don't know if you saw, I'm collecting the Peter David Hulks. They're worth nothing.
Yeah.
I'm buying them for like $1.50 a piece. The guy gives me like basically like 40% off or something. They're literally $2 a piece, and it's like it's great. Like I bought one number 357,
Yeah.
and I had it as a kid, and I gave it away. It's one of the ones I gave away, but it was beat up, and I almost bought a second copy. I don't know why I'm such a nerd, but like I loved it. I was like, yeah, I remember this one. Is so cool, and,
Yeah.
and it's like. Yeah, that experience is done. And yeah, having the original Batman of this is really cool because yeah, I like those ads. And I remember that, yeah, the creatures and it was like the eyes.
Yeah.
Like, wow.
Yeah.
And I get so excited. I'm like, oh my God, I gotta get this. Yeah, an AD&D man. Like I love D&D anyways. So like
Yeah.
anything to do with it, it's like, oh man, Dungeons and Dragons. Yeah,
It makes it look like the greatest game on earth. It's like, oh my God.
oh my God,
Like
I
it looks like
know.
Advanced Pitfall or something. Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing with this is that it brought back the idea that it was like you get that issue and you talk to your friends about it, be like, oh man, I haven't seen that Batman one before. It's like I got everything. We did a podcast on this. I got it from the convenience store. I go to the convenience store and they'd have the news rack. That's how I discovered Heavy Metal
Yeah.
magazine with the adult fantasy one,
Yeah.
which is I love.
Me too. Yeah.
Um, and
Yeah.
I have all my childhood issues of Heavy Metal magazine. That I tried to never
Oh
mix.
yeah.
Yeah, oh, I loved it. I know it's like it was a bit taboo because it would have nudity and stuff, and you'd feel all like
Yeah.
sneaky
Yeah.
buying it. Your mom thought oh, he's just buying comic books. Like he, there's nudity, but like
There's nudity, but not a lot of sex. It's just nudity. It's
yeah,
weird. Yeah.
which is fine.
Yeah.
That's all you needed.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but yeah, no, and yeah, getting the Batmans like that was so cool. It'd be a rush to we'd go every day. Now the convenience store for me was across the street, like not even a major street, like it was in my little section. I would go, and there's 2 convenience stores. I'd check one and then the other and buy what I could. And there was no bagging it and boarding it and then getting the tape and then taping the back down.
Yeah.
And
No.
it's like, whatever, man, you had the comic. And I don't know. I think that entire thing is gone, not just for comics, just for anything. Like
Yeah.
that whole sense of going out and getting stuff and discovering things. It's like now we said this, it's all presented. It's in our streaming thing. We took this, we got angry at this. Like, here's what I'm presenting you. Here's what we're shoving at you. It's like,
Well, yeah. I don't know.
That's how I discovered stuff.
I don't know if comics are a part of like kid culture anymore.
No.
It's funny. When I was when I was in grade 9, Spider-Man wasn't really in media much. I mean, there was the '60s cartoon, which was long gone and wasn't really syndicated anymore.
Mhm.
There's Amazing Friends and the '80s solo series, which was long gone. It wasn't even on TV anymore.
No, I never saw that on TV.
and yet the comics were so strong that they were their own mainstream force. I mean, every kid read Spider-Man, like in grade 9 and grade 10. When it's like guys that I thought didn't even read comics, like everyone was really into it. Because like there's a lot of great stuff going on, like the Puma Det storyline and the of course Venom and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And that was before the 90s Fox Kids cartoon, which brought it back into the fore again. And that's, it was something that was ingrained. Comics were just, it was something that was ingrained. I mean, we had video games. They weren't the immersive, crazy games we have today. But we had video games, we had movies and TV and all that stuff. Internet wasn't quite a thing yet, but like Spider-Man was right there in front, and X-Men was really popular too. But I just remember everyone was reading Spider-Man, and this is like without the aid of like a TV show or like a movie series to get people hyped up about it, right? I don't know if that's really a thing today. Like we have movies based on everything, but I don't know if kids can't go. We talked about this, but kids can't go to a place they normally go to, like a grocery store or a convenience store, and find comics. And that's kind of sad. So and comic stores, I mean, now they're dead, but like before the pandemic, comic stores are hard to find and everything. And so yeah, that sense of discovery, that sense of like, you know what, like an impulse buy. It's like, you know what, let me walk over to the convenience store and buy a comic. That's gone. Yeah, that's gone. Unless you want Simpsons comics, I think they're at Shoppers Drug Mart or something. But yeah.
But also like, okay, so the 4 ones that I mentioned, they had TV shows, and even Wonder Woman. Let's throw her in.
Yeah.
There's 5. There's cartoons, TV shows. But like, I was looking through my collection not too long ago, just cataloging, and I've got like issues of Warlord and stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I remember getting this, and it was because you just go to a random place. And you'd be like, ooh, Warlord. Oh, this looks like a Viking guy or something. I'm like, this is kind of cool. And then I just, it's like I have Warlord number like 26 or something stupid. And it's like, okay. And that's how I discovered Punisher. I remember the ads in Marvel, they would show you the black and white ads, like of issues coming out or something or whatever, or an issue.
The house ads, yeah.
And I was like, oh my God. And then I'd go and be like, oh, this Punisher guy looks wicked. He's got a skull on his shirt. That's cool. And it's like, that's how I discovered this crap. It's like, yeah, there was no Punisher cartoon. I loved Punisher. He was like he's like one of my favorite guys ever. I dressed up as, I cut out, I photocopied this Punisher skull and cut it out and used tape and taped it on my shirt. And it's like, there was no Punisher cartoon. There's no television series on Netflix. There was nothing. I just discovered that by randomly buying crap. I'm like, oh, this looks neat. And that's how you branched out from things outside of Spider-Man or Superman. And it's like, but that's gone too. Yeah, kids, they don't have any access to any of this stuff. And no one's going to drive. My mom didn't care about comics. Everyone's story is talking about, oh, you know, my mom or my dad took me to Star Wars, and my mom doesn't like any of that stuff. I don't know who my father is. I grew up with my mom and my aunt who don't like that stuff. My grandmother who barely spoke English, and my grandfather who spoke English not too bad, but he didn't care about any of that stuff. He just liked soccer. We're Croatians. He loves soccer. That's all he talked about. So I'm a self-made nerd. Like no one, I would have to tell my grandfather, I'd be like, I need to go buy Batman, the Mego Batman toy. He's like, okay, let's go. Then he would drive me and we'd buy the Batman, and I had Batman. And it's like, and I love the Parachute Men, which was weird.
Oh, the Parachute Men, yeah,
this.
I just want to shout out one thing. There's a guy in Scarborough that, you know, Plaid Stallions?
Yes.
Yeah, so the guy who runs that is, well, he's not in Scarborough anymore. I think he's in like Whitby or something like that. But he made a new magazine, Toy Ventures. It has a whole thing about the Parachute Man, and it's like, why is Superman? Why does Superman have a parachute man?
I know. I had all of them. I had Hulk, Spider-Man, Batman, Superman. My 4. And it's like, why does Hulk need a parachute?
Yeah, it's like, just put anybody. Like, who cares?
Batman was the only official one.
Yeah, Batman, maybe Spider-Man. Sergeant Rock is like the real. It's like, yeah, well, that makes
Yeah,
sense.
that
Yeah,
makes sense. Yeah, but anyway,
yeah, yeah.
but yeah, just to close off with this Detective Comics, it's like, yeah, it's great to just travel back in time and like look at these, and it's great too that you could still get them. Like, I do see some kids at some of these shows, and if I was a dad, I would take my kid and start him with these older issues, and I would go to because they're actually pretty cheap, and you can go to every show we go to has the dollar bins or like the
Yeah.
50-cent bins.
Yeah.
I remember one show I went to, and I ended up picking up, it was 25 cents a book, and I did $20 worth
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
25 centers. And I just went
Yeah.
like, I just kind of went like this, and it's like, he's like, oh,
The
20
best
bucks.
is Brave and the Bold,
Yeah,
DC Comics Presents, which was the Superman team up book,
right.
and Legion of Superheroes in the early '80s.
Hmm.
Like, I love those. They're so colorful and amazing. There's like a gazillion guys, and there's always Superboy too. So
Yeah,
yeah.
Legion was the one I never got into. And there's the people, it's the Legion people who are like, oh man.
Yeah.
And then there's the, I don't know what's going on. And that was me.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know what's going on in this book.
Legion was great before Crisis. After that, they got too sensible and everything, and they got all emo. But like Legion, I always thought it was something that was making fun of, not making fun, poking fun at the superheroes, but at the same time being part of that whole universe, right? There's Arm Fall Off Lad. Like, that's the guy's name. That his arm falls off and he can throw it. Like, so
I want
Bouncing
that
Boy is
power.
a big fat dude that can bounce around. It's like, yeah. Anyway.
Well, yeah, but I mean, the point is that you can still get a lot of these if you really
Yeah.
want to go to the shows. Even go to comic shops. The shop I go to now, I always go to Gotham for my weekly stuff. But there's a shop next to my escape room that has a lot of just like back issues, and they're all cheap and no one cares.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It's literally it's like an entire huge room of stuff. You can't even go through all. And I just go there. I'm just going every week and just like, oh, grab some Hulks, grab some whatevers, just for the shit of it.
Yeah.
I don't. And as a kid, I didn't. If I missed 531, let's say I didn't get Detective 531 and I got 536, I'd be like, oh, that's cool. I'll just read 536 and I'll figure it out. And I think I said this in my earlier thing. I think it was John Byrne who's like, every comic is someone's first comic, and you always get the gist. Like, when you read this one, you get Nocturna. It's like, yeah, I get it. She's fucking going around at night.
Yeah. And this is a great example of a first issue. It's like, there's no Joker, there's no Penguin. It's just this Batman doing his thing. There's a villain that you'll probably never hear about again. But it left an impression on me. That to me is Batman. Atmosphere, blue and gray, but still. And that art, like you said it, like to me, Batman is Gene Colan or Neil Adams.
Neil Adams, yeah.
Yeah, it's like that sort of classic, sort of Super Friends-ish look, right? That box.
And Neil Adams is the one. Neil Adams
Yeah,
is the one.
yeah.
Like, it's just like a no-brainer. It's just like that is it. It's just,
and I like that cape. I mentioned this in their Batman thing. I mean, I like the cape that closes in the front. I just like that. It's more atmospheric and more sort of like this mysterious guy, rather than like, look at my fake armored muscles. It's like, what?
Plus, I like that. I always equated that, and you said this too. It's like as detective mode. Like, he's just like walking around. Okay, I'm investigating. Like, why is he? Like, why is he exposing the utility belt and the knives? Like, it's like he's not fighting anybody. He's just walking around, right? So walking around all cloaked, like a cloaked detective. Like, ooh, what's going on?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Anyway, all right. So we'll wrap it up. Yeah, this was a great. I never read this till you told me to read it. So I'll tell you what we're gonna do for the next one. It's gonna be a very weird. It'll be slightly weird, but not too weird. It'll be Spider-Man. Spider-Man's gonna be the next one, I think. I gotta figure out what number it was, because that'll be my personal story, which will be weird. Anyway, okay, so that's it. All right. Well, I'm glad we talked about this. Let us know in the comments if you like Nocturna. I did look it up while we were talking. She was in Batwoman. I kind of remember her, but that show was weird. There was some good. I'm not taking a poo on Batwoman. There's some bad things. There's some good things. Ruby Rose, I liked, and she's gone now. So now, I like her and that Rachel Scarston girl, Alice. I like those two. And one of those two is gone. And I'm like, well, that was literally one of the two reasons I was watching. So I don't know if I'm going to, we'll see how it goes. Who am I kidding? I'm going to watch Batwoman. I watch all these shows. All right. So yeah, Detective Comics 530. Awesome stuff. Anything else, Sean? Anything else to?
No, that's about it.
All right.
No, just like as you said, everyone, every comic is someone's first comic, and this is mine, and it's near and dear to my heart.
And it's awesome. So, all right, guys, thanks for watching. See you next time.